Hello everyone, it's Dr. Rafael Gutierrez. Today I'm going to be doing a karate video. What I really want to do is I'm going to talk about the body, pretty much the body mechanics of either I'm actually going to use the English, the downward block, the outside forearm block, or the upper block through, and actually reverse punch as well. And part of the reason is one of the ways I actually like to teach is I like to teach people the kata first and then go into the basics. And so every kata, the way I look at it, is almost 6 months to a year worth of information that someone could teach a class. It's actually, in my eyes, a way to have a curriculum. And if we actually start the curriculum trying to get everything perfect initially, a lot of times we miss something. And so a lot of times when I teach it, I usually try to get people to look at just the basic stances. Now, I will start with the stances, then I'll go into the basic cut, then I'll actually mention how it would be used for more generating powers. Now, there is one thing I always tell people, and that is there are multiple ways to get power. What you do is you try to use what works best for you based on your understanding of how the human body works. So a lot of times, if you really want to actually get it right, what you would want to do is take anatomy, physiology, and a kinesiology class, biomechanics as well, and that way you can actually understand how to get the most power. And these are actually classes you can take at your local community college, and it's they're relatively affordable ways to get a lot of information. So with that, I'm actually going to stand and show you what I'm talking about. Now, one of the important things that I'm going to mention is, the reason I put on my gi is so you can actually see the belt and you can see the lines without me having to pretty much have myself almost naked. So that's actually one of the important things with the gi. Now, the way I actually teach this stance, and again, this is different for everyone, is if you look at my shoulders and you look at where my feet are actually almost a straight line under my shoulders. This is important because it actually has a lot of balance. Yes, you can get more balance by going wider, but by going wider you also lose mobility. So I'm going to start here, and the stance we're going to do is the one everyone calls in kutsadachi. And I am going to tell you that, again, pay attention to where my feet are, where my knees are, and where my hips are, as well as where my belly button is. And so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to bend my knees as much as I can. This is just to get the stance right. And I'm just going to pretty much have to shift my weight over so I can come as far as I can to make sure I have the right distance between my front foot and my back foot as it deals with my hips. And you can see that there's almost a straight line here. I also will try to get my front knee to go over my second toe. Now, if you take anatomy or kinesiology or body mechanics, you'll understand that that actually helps track your knee in the right way. Now, when we actually do the block, I have seen a lot of people block and pull away. Now, the problem with just pulling away as you come down is there's no force. You're not actually developing force here. If, on the other hand, you come from the side here and twist and just let your arm fall, once you twist, you can actually let your arm go and just let it move based on impulse alone. Now, I want you to pay attention to my hips here, and I'm going to actually even get more power by bending the back knee and kicking off of it, and my front leg is actually going to brace. So instead of just doing here, what I would tell my students to do is bend your knee, all your weights forward, kick off of it, so you end up getting that movement. So it's actually not force it here, and if you notice, I end at about 45 degrees here. So initially, when I actually teach beginners, yes, they will stop here. Once they know how to do that, then I will ask them to do it together. Now, if your arm is going soft, you're actually throwing it, and think of it as throwing a baseball. And that's actually one thing that I would actually tell you to do is look at how baseball players throw a ball. Now, if you notice, this is here, and the arm follows. If I'm going to do a reverse punch, same thing can actually happen here. I can use my weight, shift it to get momentum, stop it here, and let my arm just fly based on the transfer of energy. So kinetic energy. So here, if I'm here, and I just twist and let my arm soft just enough, keep it just enough to maintain the form, what you end up with is this movement here. Now, If I do it slow, I'm not going to be able to get the rotation, but if I do it with power and speed, what you end up with is the hit here. And so you end up getting that throw, and it bounces. Now, one thing I actually tell people is this. A lot of people stick so you transfer the power. In a collision, most of the force goes in the first tenth of a second. Afterwards, you're pushing. So the damage actually occurs once the impact happens, tenths of a second. You then are just pushing after that. So for damage, you actually want it to hit, and after that, you don't care. If you want to push, then go ahead and tighten. Now, again, I tell people, if you look and make sure that your fist is straight. If your fist is straight, you do not, if your wrist, fingers, and forearm line up, you do not need to put a lot of force in it. It will actually go, the force will go through, and you will not need that extra strength to hold it in place. You only need that if your angles are off. Now, from here, we can actually also come out and use the same bottom movement here for the outside block. So if you think here, so again, soft, all the way here, you just come here. And so your arms are soft, and it's just being driven here, and you're using your front leg to stop, to throw that, throw here. So what we have is we have actually we can see how the downward block would be exactly the same way as the reverse punch. The other thing though that we have is from this stance, if I'm going to back up a little more, you can also have the high block. Now, if you actually look at this is a little different because you're actually coming here and you're using your front leg to drive the power up. Now, I tend to use a straight line approach when I block. So here, just here, straight line, straight up. And what it does is it protects my head. And by using my legs here, it's not my arm that's actually driving, but the force from this leg twisting, and this foot is actually being dragged to the next step. And so you end up in a higher natural stance. Now this would be the same move as if you were coming for a straight punch here. So ideally, you have the punch here. Again, driving from your arm. Driving not from your arm, but from the leg. Here. And so one of the things is with this exercise, you actually do have pretty much about 30 minutes of drills that could be used for Fugata Ichi overall. I hope you enjoy this, and we'll talk more about kata and how I use it in the next film. Thank you and have a nice day.